everybody. Just wanted to kind of share some of the things that I'm going through right now with you guys. I'm very appreciative of the people that I've been meeting so far. I like meeting good people. I like getting to know everybody. And this stuff is all new to me, social media and stuff, and you can see that my channel is named Teacher Sambo, right? So the reason why I chose that name is because my goal of creating this channel is to share information and clarify things about Cambodia for people to understand my culture and things that happen in Cambodia in a clear way. Because I know there's like a common misconception about, how things work in Cambodia, for people who live in the West. When you look at Cambodia, you don't understand it. You have to live here for a certain amount of years before you do. And I've lived here for over 10 years, so I understand a lot of it now. And things that I go through every day, it's very difficult for most Westerners to understand because they don't live here, because they come here to do for tourism or whatever. So they spend 2 weeks here or whatever, and it's not enough time for you to understand. So I'm driving right now. That's why the camera is so shaky. We live in the countryside, about 30 kilometers away from the city, from Battambang City. And anytime we do something or we need supplies, we have to go to the city. So I'm driving to the city right now. The roads are bad. That's why it's so shaky. I don't know if I'm going to keep this video or not, but I'm going to keep talking. So in the beginning of the video, I'm going to put I'm going to show a video of my father-in-law and kind of show what it's like to deal with an illness in Cambodia. So about a week ago, he had a stroke, and he has high blood pressure. He's old, his health is failing. He smoked a lot. He drank a lot, He never really took care of himself. So all that stuff added up, and finally he had a stroke. So that happened a week ago. And my mother-in-law, they live about an hour away from us. There's not really an emergency service number that you can call, like 911, to have the paramedics come right away. So she lives out there, just her and her husband, my father-in-law, my mother-in-law. No kids are around them. The neighbors, they don't really help out, So I guess she woke up at 7 in the morning. She was getting ready to go use the bathroom, and she saw him face down in front of the bathroom. And so she tried to call out to him, like, "What's wrong with you? Why are you down, And my mother-in-law, she was just so distraught. She didn't know what to do. So, by the time she figured out what she had to do, whatever happened to him, it took over an hour or whatever. And then she finally figured out, okay, he fell down, he had a fall, and she needed help. So she had to go get some of the neighbors to come and help her pick him up and put him up on a chair. And by the time that she called us, it was about 10 or 11. And she told us, "Oh yeah, I need help. Your dad, he fell, And I was like, "Is he conscious? Is he talking, or is he still unconscious?" And she was like, "He's conscious, but he can't move, And I was like, "Oh yeah, he had a stroke." And with a stroke, you got to get medical attention as soon as possible. But she couldn't figure out what she wanted to do, so it took her a long time. So by the time we got to her house, it took me an hour from my place to drive to her place. And once we got to her place, she lives all the way in the back of the village, away from the main road. So we'll have to park the truck on the main road, and then we'll have to walk all the way to the back. It's maybe a kilometer of a walk before we get to her house. So you can imagine carrying a person that's not able to move from her house through a small, tiny trail to get onto the truck. It took us about a half an hour just to carry him, 4 of us, So he's pretty heavy. He's probably 180, and just dead weight. He's not able to move. So we did that, got him on the truck. And then my mother-in-law, she had there's some people around her neighborhood that told her, there's a hospital over there. It's called a Pet Popi, Petihin. Petihin means military hospital. So I guess that hospital is ran by people in the military. They take turns, they come in, they work, but they're also enlisted in the military. But we were told that they were pretty good and they can take care of patients who had like brain injuries, So we went there. So I just followed her, her direction, just to, I don't know what to do because I've never had to deal with this before. And so we got him there, they unloaded him off the truck, put him on a gurney, brought him inside the room. And then I've heard before, about like Cambodian hospitals, people have said, they're all about money, And so this is my first time experiencing something like this with a state hospital, with a public hospital, right? So as soon as we get there, the nurse was like, oh yeah, we need to scan him, see what's going on with his brain, And then they were telling my mother-in-law, like, you need to pay for that right away. And she didn't say anything. She was still lost, because she was still trying to figure out what was going on. It hasn't sunk in yet. And so once they said that, I asked her, I was like, do you have money? I was like, you have money to pay for that, And she said, yeah. But she didn't tell the nurse. I was wondering, like, why don't you answer right away, And so when they told her that, they kind of hesitated to bring him to the scanning room, to do the CAT scan. And then took like an hour or two before they did a CAT scan. So they brought him to do the CAT scan and everything, and then she finally went to pay for it. And that was it. They brought him back to the room, and all they did was put an IV in him, and they just let him sit there in the room. And I was like, man, what kind of treatment is this? I don't understand what's going on, And then I looked at my mother-in-law. I thought she knew, how to deal with people in the hospital, but she doesn't. So they just put an IV on him, and that was it. And the reason why they did that is because they need somebody to tell them that the bill is going to be taken care of. You don't have to worry if we don't have any money or not. We do have money and we're going to pay for it. Don't worry about it, But when they saw my mother-in-law, she's dressed like kind of, underclass. She's, she doesn't dress too well because she's not too, she's not rich, So we left, and my sister-in-law went. And once my sister-in-law went to that hospital, there was a girl who lives in our village. She's in the military, and she recognized my sister-in-law. And once she recognized my sister-in-law, she told the nurses and the doctors, like, oh, don't worry, they have money to pay for stuff. Okay. And as soon as the doctors and nurses heard that, and they were, assured that we were able to pay for the bill, they started changing up, right? They gave him an oxygen tank. They gave him some blankets, They started taking care for him a lot more, And I was like, man, it's kind of messed up, because there's a person that needs medical attention and you're worried about money more than anything else. Instead of helping the person, try to save their life, you're trying to make sure that we're able to pay for it, And it's, it's sad, Yeah, but this is something I wanted to share with you guys. And so he went, they cared for him for a whole week, and he hasn't improved. He hasn't woken up. I mean, he goes in and out, he sleeps and he'll wake up, sleeps and he'll wake up. He's only able to move one side, just his left side, but the right side, he's drooped to the side like this, and he can't do anything. He hasn't eaten. He's still on the IV, so they're feeding him through a tube, and they have a catheter for him to pee out of, and that's it. But 2.5 days is $750, and it's been a week now, so it's $1,500 now, and that's why we took him out. The family has to make a decision on whether they should leave him in the hospital or not. But leaving him in the hospital means that, the price just keeps going up, the cost is just up there. So they decided to bring him home and take care of him there. The problem with Cambodia is that they don't have like a nursing home or an old man's home or whatever, or a place where they just care for your sick loved ones, you know. In Cambodia, when a loved one falls ill, the family, the burden falls on the family. The family has to take care of that loved one. So in this case, because it's the father, the kids have to take care of him, because there's no facility to do that for us. And you can't really trust like outside facilities to take care of your loved ones who are basically a vegetable, you know. They can do whatever they want to your loved ones, and they don't care, you know. It's not the same as family. So today we brought him back home, and he's at in front of my sister-in-law's house. So there's family all around, and now it's on us to take care of him for however long until he leaves us, you know. And this burden on the family, you know, it's a lot harder than taking care of a baby, because it's a grown person and he's heavy, and yeah, we have to take care of him, make sure he's washed, you know, he's gonna be, you know, using the bathroom on himself all the time. And yeah, it's gonna be difficult these next I don't know how long, a month or two before he does pass, you know. And then once he does pass, we'll have to deal with the grieving part, you know, with my wife, you know. And yeah, it's gonna be a little bit difficult. I just wanted to share that with everybody so that everybody can understand like the things that happen in Cambodia, you know. All right, guys, see you guys later. Sorry for the shaky video. This is the reality of healthcare in Cambodia. So we're bringing him back from the hospital right now, back home, because there's nothing else they could do. So we got to take care of him ourselves.
Ở đây chơi mà, trong chết con trai mà này mà.